Just ahead in the local news at 6.
The brother of a man jailed over a brutal road rage attack in Wodonga faces court for his role in the incident.
Local truckies have their say on why so many are dying on regional roads.
A man who escaped from Beechworth jail yesterday faces extradition.
Dramatic pictures as a pilot miraculously survives a helicopter crash in the Kosciuszko National Park.
And farmers forced to sell off sheep and cattle as our dry autumn takes a toll.
Stay with us, all the details are coming up in just a few minutes.
This is Prime7 Local News with Madelaine, Collignon, Kenny Heatley and meteorologist Karl Lijnders with your local weather. Now, Prime7 Local News at 6.
Tonight, the brother of a man jailed over a brutal road rage attack will stay behind bars.
Truck drivers demand action after a frightening spike in deadly crashes.
Another day, another promise, this time on roads from the Victorian opposition.
And a mostly dry and warm Thursday on the way. Your weather details up next.
Good evening. One of two Wodonga brothers charged over a violent road rage attack has been jailed for his role in the incident.
Tom McLean pleaded guilty to a string of offences after a delivery truck driver was assaulted in Wodonga late last year. The 24-year-old was sentenced to 6 months jail and 75 hours of community work upon his release.
Notorious T-shirt bandit Jack McLean uses a metal spirit level to deliver a series of blows to a truck driver before fleeing in a green Holden Commodore. The magistrate disagreed, saying Mr McLean was at high risk of reoffending and there was little insight into his offending behaviour. In his submissions, Magistrate Ian Watkins told Mr McLean he needed to change his ways and said if he didn't, he could look forward to a life spending most of his productive years in custody. Josh Ribridge, Prime7 News.
A man accused of escaping from Beechworth Correctional Centre has faced court for extradition. Nathan Crisfield was reported missing from the Correctional Centre late Monday night, sparking a large manhunt. The 27-year-old was recaptured in Albury yesterday afternoon. He appeared briefly in Albury local court this morning, where he was extradited back to Victoria. He'll return to Wodonga Magistrates Court next week.
There's been a staggering 86% increase in truck-related crashes on our roads in the past year. Now, furious drivers are desperate to stop the carnage. Today, the Transport Workers Union released findings of a survey from drivers on what's really causing the crashes.
It's an all too common scene of devastation on our country roads. Yesterday, a truck rolled on the Irrigation Way, a woman airlifted and critical. Sarah Naven, Prime7 News.
Regional towns have been promised $1 million a year to fix their worst country roads. The Coalition has pledged to reinstate its $160 million Country Roads and Bridges program. That's if it wins November's election.
The Liberal and Nationals announced today the roads funding program that Labor axed 4 years ago would be back if the Coalition wins government.
Particularly Indio Shire, I would suggest the connector road, which is the Woolshed Road, needs some urgent attention.
A car flipped onto its roof in a two-car collision in Albury this afternoon. Recovery crews worked quickly to right the overturned vehicle after one of the drivers failed to give way at the intersection of Macaulay Street and Crisp Street. Police and ambulance were called to the scene shortly after 1 p.m. today. No one, thankfully, was injured.
A helicopter pilot has narrowly escaped with his life after his chopper caught fire and crashed in remote bushland at Kosciuszko National Park. 45-year-old Phil O'Driscoll was working for the Snowy Hydro, conducting geotechnical preparations for the 2.0 project when his helicopter went down. He was the only person on board. O'Driscoll suffered head and spinal injuries and was taken to Canberra Hospital for treatment.
Police are appealing for public help tonight to find a missing teenager. Colin McGee was last seen at a Narre Warren address in Melbourne's Outer East on Monday. The 17-year-old is known to visit Wangaratta. Authorities hold concerns for Colin's welfare and urge anyone with information to contact Crime Stoppers.
Well, it's time now for a quick check of the weather with meteorologist Karl Lijnders.
Karl, it was a cool start across the region this morning.
Very fresh. Yeah, it was very fresh, Kenny, but a lovely day to follow. Plenty of sunshine, light winds and temperatures well above average again. 25 degrees at Corowa and Yarrawonga, 24 at Wangaratta after 3 overnight, 4 to 24 at Beechworth. Clear skies all the way through, helping those temperatures to bounce around from cool starts to warm, sunny days. Satellite picture shows that high pressure system still anchored over southeastern parts of, well, Victoria at the moment, moving off towards the Tasman Sea. In its wake, though, we're going to see a, well, cold front turn into a low pressure system in the Great Australian Bight and a trough to the north. In between all these systems, we're remaining warm to hot and fairly dry at this stage through the next few days. So tracking that trough over the next couple of days, it will keep us really quite warm and sunny. Dam levels at this stage are not really looking all that positive on the Hume, 33% and dropping away. And guys, Dartmouth is still sitting at around 88%. More later.
Okay, thanks, Karl. Catch you shortly.
Still to come in the local news, a bid to save Corowa's 50-metre outdoor swimming pool.
And preparations in full swing for tomorrow's Toolangatta Farm Expo. Federation Council has given the green light to build a new 50-metre outdoor pool in Corowa. This is what the new facility will look like. It'll cost around $8.6 million to build and will include a splash park and learn to swim pool. The old pool is deemed not up to current day standards. Work on the new pool will begin in December next year. It'll be built on the existing site.
Livestock producers are preparing for the worst as farmers sell off stock due to our almost non-existent autumn rainfall. Farmers are shrinking their herds and flocks rather than shelling out a fortune on feed.
Our hot, dry autumn is taking a toll on sheep and cattle farmers. It's now too expensive to feed surplus stock, so farmers across the region are selling them for slaughter.
Still to come in Prime7 News, Yarrawonga stamped themselves as genuine premiership contenders.
And it's business as usual for the big two O&M netball clubs. Yarrawonga have showed they might be ready to return to the top of the O&M tree with some impressive early season form. After giving up a 46-point lead in round one, the Pigeons have looked good ahead of a big test in round four.
The high-flying Pigeons have started the year well with 2 comfortable wins, but it could and probably should have been 3 after throwing away victory against the Tigers.
Wodonga have bounced back in emphatic fashion from an opening round defeat in local women's hockey. Wodonga dominated their match against United, scoring a 4-1 win. In other women matches, North and Wombats Beechworth both played out a draw, while the Magpies and Falcons also played out a drawn result. In the men's, Wodonga didn't have the same luck going down to the Magpies 2-0. In other men's matches, the Falcons and Norths both remain unbeaten with comfortable wins in their matches. How are our temperatures looking for the rest of the week? Stay with us. Karl is back in just a moment with the local weather forecast.
For a closer look at the weather forecast, we're joined once again by Karl Lijnders.
Karl, there's really no indication that we're going to be shifting into wetter conditions anytime soon, is there?
That's true, Kenny. We have got another week of pretty dry, warm weather, well above average for this time of year. It's courtesy of high pressure again being out in the East Tasman Sea, and out to our west we've got heat building again throughout most of the inland, and between that and a low pressure system, northerly winds helping to drag that warmer air back down towards southeastern Australia over the coming days. The weekend looks warm to hot for this time of year as we await another cold front. Now we're going to keep an eye on a low pressure system out here because that is certainly the driving force for the weather block at the moment. At this stage it's expected to keep things fairly uniform in terms of temperature and overnight minimums. East coast low is being indicated on our charts, but at this stage it's a split between our models, with one particularly showing a deep east coast low and another showing a strong and powerful cold front coming through at the same time. So at this stage there's a lot of discrepancy on our model runs for next week. At this stage, dry weather for at least the next 7 days, with foggy starts for the next 3, including tomorrow. Temperatures up to 27 at Horsham, 24 for Colac, and a fine sunny 30 degrees for Mildura as we track record dry weather in the Mallee. At this stage, a foggy start for your Thursday. Temperatures up to 27 in the afternoon through most locations. Friday up to 28 degrees in most locations. Showers and storms will stay in the north of Wagga for the time being as we track a trough through New South Wales. But for us, it is warm, it is sunny and bright to kick off your weekend. 15 at Mount Buller, 27 for Collignon and 27 also out at Yarrawonga. For the remainder of the outlook period, it is a bit difficult to forecast from around about Sunday onwards. At this stage, looking at a little bit of patchy rain around with the remains of that low pressure system through southeastern Australia on Monday, Tuesday. Stronger signals again for a westerly change with rain developing on Anzac Day, guys, just in time for all the commemorations.
Yeah, exactly, and a cool start too. All right, thanks, Karl.
Bye.
See ya.
Now let's check petrol prices across the region quickly. APCO in North Albury is selling a litre of diesel for $1.32. In Wodonga, Pacific Petroleum is the cheapest for unleaded at just $1.32. Prices are higher in Yarrawonga with a litre of diesel costing $1.43 at United, while in Myrtleford you can find unleaded for $1.44 at Alpine Service Station.
And that's all we have time for tonight. You can join the debate on tonight's stories on Facebook.
And catch tonight's top stories on the website. Thanks for joining us tonight. Coming up, 7 News from Melbourne. We'll see you tomorrow.